What's up, Internet? Welcome to Once Over. I'm Kaylee, and with me today is Hughezy from Hughezy Entertainment, and today we're going to be giving the once over to 10 Cloverfield Lane.
That's bad. And that's worse.
There will be spoilers.
Give it a good once over.
Giving us the once over.
Giving him the once over.
Give me a once over.
Down to give us the once over.
For a routine once over.
Once over.
Oh, just once over lightly.
All 10 of the lanes?
10 of... I can't say it. It's a spoiler.
Oh boy. Well, we know there's gonna be spoilers, Hughezy. It's gonna be okay. We gotta be talking about this movie, which is incredible, 10 Cloverfield Lane, which came out in 2016, directed by Dan, oh my god, fucking fuck. You know, I'm a morning person, so this is like when my brain works the best, and I still can't fucking say words. It's going great.
This is going great.
I think really you're just sort of in awe of the shirt that I have.
Oh, I am in awe of that shirt that you have.
It happens, of course.
I got starstruck.
I care about you more than anything on earth. You're my special boy.
Michael Jackson used to tell me the same thing.
Yeah, we all would be considering this cast. I gotta ask you a question though about 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes.
Because Cloverfield was this like big, well, it was a hit film, but it wasn't a massive blockbuster, like a box office hit, and but everybody loved it. So they waited 6 years. No, wait, yeah, eight years. 8 years to do the sequel to this film about a giant monster attacking the city, and they did the smallest version follow-up ever that you could think of.
It is an entirely different movie. I would say that 10 Cloverfield Lane is a psychological warfare movie, whereas original Cloverfield is a monster movie. Completely different vibe.
Do you think of that? Do you think that was a good or bad idea, though?
That's a really tricky question. I think that it was good that they waited for so long, because during that 8-year period, I forgot a lot about what happened in Cloverfield. So when I was going into 10 Cloverfield Lane, I really didn't know what to expect other than the trailer for this movie, which to this day, I think hands down is one of the best trailers that has ever existed. I remember seeing the trailer for 10 Cloverfield Lane and freaking out. I was like, this movie looks like it's going to be the best movie in the entire universe. I wasn't even thinking monster movie because, again, I was so far removed at that point from the Cloverfield universe that I was like, how does this have anything to do with monsters? There's not going to be a giant kaiju attacking a city in this. Like, it didn't seem at all the same. What about you? What did you think? Was that a smart move? A totally weird move?
See, it's weird in that, because we mentioned in Cloverfield 1 that a lot of the creative decisions were done that only people like us would sort of notice, the film nerd types, like the casuals wouldn't have a clue. So it was almost as if they did this sequel for people like us who would eat that type of shit up. But the humans would be like, where's the monster?
Where is it?
Where's TJ Miller?
A bomb threat? Why would I call it a bomb threat?
Like that's why I bought the ticket for the first one. There's a reference to him later on, which I will point out, of course.
Of course.
And I just thought that I think that it's a great film, but I don't know if it's a good sequel.
So sequel, I do think is a challenging term for this movie. I want to talk a little bit about, before we get into the movie itself, where this fits timeline-wise in comparison to the original Cloverfield. I think that there is a good argument that these two movies are happening simultaneously. What do you think about that? Do you think this is happening 8 years after the original Cloverfield? Do you think that this is happening at the same time as the original Cloverfield? What are your kind of initial thoughts on that?
Well, I can actually answer that by sort of jumping ahead to one of my points. So
Yes.
At one point in the film, there's a part where the girl tries to escape by running to the door. She sees a car and a woman runs up to the door and just like, let me in, and her skin is burning and melting. That woman is in Cloverfield 3 as a newsreader, so I'm guessing this is taking place days after, I should say weeks after Cloverfield is happening. Because technology-wise, we really don't get to see what they've got because it's all like sort of old throwback technology. So I'm guessing this has got to be like the week. But then that was a question I've also got. Geographically, how far away is this area from New York?
Very far. So the original Cloverfield is set in New York City, and this is set out in the cornfields of Podunk, Louisiana. So we for sure are in Louisiana, which is like, a 15-hour drive probably from New York City, if not maybe a little bit longer. This is a very, very, very far distance away, which means that the only way for the main characters to not already know about the events that happened in Cloverfield would be if it's happening sort of in a simultaneous period of time.
True, and there was that part on the when the female lead, the strong female lead, was in her car driving and listening to the radio, and in it the newsreader says that New York's gone into a blackout.
Yes.
And
Yep.
of course, she wasn't able to watch the news to see what had actually happened, to see the great footage of Cloverfield.
Yep.
So I'm thinking this is happening exactly at the same time.
Yeah, I would agree. And you are right. She is absolutely a strong female lead. That is Mary Elizabeth Winstead playing the character Michelle. We have very few characters in this film. So we have Michelle. We also have Howard.
My name is Howard, by the way.
Who's played by the creepiest version of John Goodman ever. And then we have John Gallagher Jr., who is playing another person who eventually gets trapped in a bunker with the other two. So we have Michelle, Howard, and Emmett all trapped in a bunker. And Michelle is facing this like slow burning paranoia, nightmare, manipulation, control at the hands of Howard. The world may or may not be ending. They have no idea what's going on, and they can't figure out if the real terror is inside this bunker that they're trapped in or if it's in the real world.
But she got free eggs, so
Eggs.
who's the real villain?
It's challenging to say, and I do want to talk about the real villain of this movie as we get a little bit more into it. But let's start out at the beginning of this film. So we start out with seeing Michelle going through her house, and she is packing up all of her stuff. She's grabbing a bottle of liquor. She leaves her keys and an engagement ring behind, and she gets out of there. She starts driving through this beautiful cornfield sort of area. She is going out into the country. And the beginning, these opening sequences feel very similar to The Shining to me. We get like these long winding roads where a car is driving up things. We're leaving the city to go out into the country. Did you get any of those sort of like hints to other movies when you were watching this film?
Yeah, and one of the things when we rewatched it, not to joke about the home cinema, but I actually thought one of my speakers had blown up because there's zero sound at all until she gets to a garage, and I was thinking, oh no, I'm gonna have to spend more money on this glory piece of heaven, because I was thinking because there was no noise, yet the music in it was super loud.
I had the exact same experience. I was like, oh my God, do I somehow have a copy of this movie that doesn't have the audio track? Like, it's missing part of the audio track. I did the exact same thing. I had to skip ahead in the movie in order to watch it to make sure that audio was working. I was like, there's no voice track in this version that I have of this. I was like freaking out. And it's so funny because that's one of the joys of seeing a movie like this in the theater, is that you're experiencing that without going, oh my God, is something wrong? That's so funny that you and I both did that. It's like eerie. You really don't know what's going on, and it sets you up for the eerie, quiet, no dialogue vibes of the beginning of this movie.
And the thing about it is, like you mentioned, John Goodman. It really is weird that his name is never really brought up as one of the all-time great actors. Because at the time of recording this, I think it was maybe a week ago or 10 days ago that The Righteous Gemstones ended.
Yeah.
And if you've ever wanted to see what John Goodman looked like while performing Analingus on Meg from, what's it called, Will and Grace, we'll watch The Righteous Gemstones. It was shocking.
Would you stop being weird?
He is outstanding in 10 Cloverfield Lane. I mean, he's outstanding in a lot of stuff. He's outstanding in pretty much everything except for Blues Brothers 2000.
Run away!
I cannot say enough good things about him. He scared the shit out of me in this movie. I was terrified of him every step of the way.
Yeah, and it's weird because the thing that makes this film so good is that you don't know if he knows something.
Yeah.
Because the viewer knows what's going on, and the viewer knows, no, there was like an alien invasion or there's been a creature thing. Yet this guy has this woman chained to a wall in a basement of a bunker, and he's going, oh, you can't leave, and we have to stay here together and all this stuff. And she's like, what the fuck is going on here? And she's in her underwear. Get the share arse. I'm just saying. But yeah. So it gives off all these vibes in the same scene where, not to put you, well, to an SA vibe, but at the same time, maybe he's just like a super weirdy, nerdy guy trying to help.
You can't tell if he is a conspiracy theorist or if he's right about everything.
But you should hear his theory about mutant space worms.
You know it has to be one or the other. Either he is her savior or he is her captor. And you really, throughout the film, I go back and forth a couple of different times. The way that the two of them end up meeting up is, we later reveal that he runs her off the road. So as she's driving down these winding roads, he uses his truck to run her off the road, either intentionally or unintentionally. We're not entirely sure. While she is talking with the fiance that she just left, who is cameo voiced by Bradley Cooper, which I really enjoyed.
Look, we had an argument. Couples fight. That is no reason to just leave everything behind.
Some of the first vocals that we hear in the movie are actually Bradley Cooper, which is hilarious for a movie with so few characters. So she gets into this car crash, and then she wakes up, like you said, chained in this bunker. We know what Cloverfield is, so we know that there is probably a giant monster outside somewhere. So is she safe? Is she not safe? Why does she need to be chained up? Is it because she is, potentially scary? And I love this room that she's into. It's like cement blocks. She's got a knee brace on, probably because she injured herself when she was in the car crash. She's on the floor. You can see her cell phone across the side of the room. So she's fully helpless.
And the thing is, you don't know if John Goodman specifically selected her or if it was just a mad coincidence, because at one point she goes to the petrol station and there's like a car has sort of, you don't know if the car's pulling up just to wait for the pump after her, or has he slowed down and he's checking her out and thinking, oh wow, she could be, she's my type, she could, that's what I love about it, is it's a legitimate mystery.
It really is.
Is he just a nerd helping her? Is he a S.A. Joseph Fritzl type guy? Buy the Blu-ray to find out.
You don't find that out on the Blu-ray, but still buy the Blu-ray.
Or maybe you do.
Oh, okay. Touche. Very good point. When the man's correct, the man's correct.
I am a man.
I am a man.
I love these opening sequences because we get to know a lot about the character of Michelle. She is shown to be extremely resourceful. She does things like knock over a little IV so that she can try to get her cell phone. She ends up like whittling down the point of her crutches so that she can eventually attack Howard, John Goodman's character, because she's like, I'm going to get him and I'm going to be able to escape. But again, she has no idea what's going on. Howard starts revealing to her that they are under his farmhouse in a bunker that he has put her in because there was a big attack on the world. And he's not sure if it's chemical warfare or what exactly is going on, but he wants her to thank him for saving her life.
This saved your life, Michelle.
And he's super smug about it. He's like, you should be thanking me.
What do you mean?
I found you And I saved your life by bringing you here.
Like, why are you trying to attack me? Why are you not thanking me for all of the wonderful things that I've just done for you?
Thank you so much for saving my life.
Including chaining you up and giving you a not particularly appetizing platter of food.
Free eggs, by the way.
Yes.
And those were good farm eggs. So there's none of that processed shit going on. So, although one of the things I've got to say about John Goodman is that I think this was the last film he did before he went to rehab. Because
you know what? You're probably right.
Yeah, because between the filming of this film and the press tour, he had lost, Jesus, it looked like he'd lost like 60, 70 pounds, and he still continued to drop the weight. Bradley Cooper, by the way, was also in Righteous Gemstones, so it all comes together.
Yes.
Yes. So,
maybe the same universe. We don't even know.
Yeah. And I don't know if he's, I doubt he would be drunk on screen or on camera, but he's definitely got that sort of vibe of sort of edgy, has he just been drinking stuff? I just thought that performance-wise, this may be my favorite John Goodman role.
I could not agree with you more. He is, it's harrowing to watch him. He does little teeny tiny facial expressions throughout the film where you're like, oh my God, this man is evil or wonderful, and even there's like the sequence where he's in front of, they have a jukebox down in this bunker, and he's like standing in front of it, and he's like tapping his foot so his butt is shaking a little bit, and you're having fun with him while you're still completely terrified of this insane man.
Yeah, I would say the difference really is a Cloverfield would be like the dealing with the to go back to the pandemic outbreak, and then 10 Cloverfield Lane is about dealing with the mental health struggles during the lockdown stage. Because at one point you're like, I'm not fucking going outside if everybody's getting this illness. I'm staying home and I'm watching my Righteous Gemstones box set, which would have been weird because the show hadn't even started during the pandemic. But then when you're in the lockdown, you're sort of like thinking, I haven't left the house in 4 months at all. I've barely crossed my driveway. I'm starting to fucking lose it a bit. Like even for me, I remember once I needed to get cash and I had to go to the local garage to use what they call it in America, the ATM, which is a sexual thing over here. More on that later.
I mean, it's both over here.
Yeah, and I had like a panic attack because I had to touch this machine. I'm like, oh no, my hands are going to fucking rot off. They didn't. I just have AIDS. But yeah, so that's one of the things that I really liked about this part of it, that even though this was pre-pandemic, it sort of shows you them during this bunker thing kind of enjoying it, or should I say figuring out a way to enjoy the best of a bright situation.
Yeah. This is a movie about survival. This is 100% a movie about survival. It's almost more of a horror movie, and I think that you're right. That does tie right into the paranoia and terror that we had during the pandemic. The first time that we get introduced to the character of Emmett is that at one point when Michelle and Howard are hanging out in their room and Michelle is being very suspicious of Howard, they hear banging coming from the other room.
Who's that?
So now Michelle knows that somebody else is down there with them. And Howard, his response is like screaming. He's like, what did you do? And he's slamming stuff around.
What did you do?
And it's so spooky. And again, it feels like he is a horror movie villain. It feels like we're not in the Cloverfield universe, but we have to be. I mean, the Cloverfield universe is our universe. You and I talked about, when we were talking about the original, the first Cloverfield, the idea of you could pretty much create any fan fiction that you wanted to within this sort of universe. And that's basically what 10 Cloverfield Lane ended up being.
Yeah, and it's that's kind of why I don't know if it was a good idea for a sequel, like to wait all this time to do almost like the student film version of an epic. Because usually it's the other way around. Like, there's this great actor called Vin Diesel. That's right, he's back. And not that he ever went away. He did a film called Pitch Black, which is this great sort of like science fiction horror thriller. But then for the sequel, they did a film, it's called The Chronicles of Riddick, and the budget was like $160 million. Yeah. Whereas I think the first one was made for less than 10 times that. And the first one is way better.
Exactly.
With Cloverfield 3, they kind of went big again.
Yeah.
And it just sort of makes you... And that's why I don't know if they ruined their own chances of a much bigger hit. Although I think this actually was a bigger box office hit than the first one. So basically my entire point means nothing.
It means nothing. And I mean, we'll get into our opinions of this later, but I think this is a near perfect movie. So... I don't know. I don't know. It's possible. I love, as we're kind of like following Michelle's story along, because we really do follow Michelle the most out of all of the characters. We kind of get to see her experiencing this thought process of like, is Howard evil? Is Emmett going to help her? How can she get out of this situation? And so much of that, again, is tied to the idea that perhaps Howard is a crazy conspiracy theorist guy. However, the first time that we really get to know that maybe something really is wrong out in the world is when Howard decides to introduce Michelle to Frank and Mildred.
I think maybe it's time you met Frank and Mildred.
Who are two pigs that are not doing very well.
Yeah, well, actually, the first time I realized something was wrong when they were having soda with spaghetti bolognese. That would be revolting.
It's delicious. It's the best sauce I've ever tasted.
Are you being funny?
Yeah,
no, I'd rather die than fuck it. Give me the virus instead of any sodas with spice. But this is where the T.J. Miller tie-in comes in, because his comedy's as funny as a dead pig, but
yes, okay.
While she sees the pigs, oh no, I'm jumping ahead. I'll hold back my point.
Okay, all right. Well, now I'm very excited about it, because I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea where you're going. Those rotten pigs are gross. I know that they had a whole bunch of issues with filming that sequence. They were originally planning to do practical effects for the dead pigs. But they had so many issues that they ended up being CG. They don't look super great, but it is still a very harrowing scene, because we get to see how to escape the bunker, which is going up through the staircase. Then there's double doors, there's an airlock, there's multiple locks on that. And Howard only lets her out through the first airlock so that she can kind of see the cornfields. And when she sees those dead pigs, Howard is like, yeah, it's because of the air.
It's the air, Michelle. That's what happens when you get exposed.
But Michelle also notices something very important during this sequence, which is that she notices that there is red paint on Howard's truck because he is the one who ran her off the road. So we as the audience are kind of starting to put things together. And again, we don't know how much we can trust Howard at any point in this film.
Yeah, because he's walking around and he's very like, I know what to do. Don't worry, and I'm in charge.
I'm always watching.
And I don't want talking at the dinner table.
You need to eat, you need to sleep, and you need to start showing me a little bit of appreciation.
And these are the rules. Like, don't touch each other. Like,
no touching.
It's hard to explain. He's somebody that you would want to organize your lockdown, just you don't want to be anywhere near him.
I focused on being prepared, and I was. And here we are.
He would 100% be the person in your area. They'd be like, come on, we're getting money together for a fundraiser. You go, no, fuck off.
Flanders is the only useless person here. If anyone dies, it should be him. I'm sorry.
Like, he would be a nightmare to know in real life. No offense.
Oh my God.
Tony from
absolutely.
Movies.
Yeah, well, pretty much the same guy if you ask me. I don't know. John Goodman's a better actor, I think.
Ouch.
I know. I was going to say, look at me. I'm the one burning Tony this time. Ha ha. I'm doing it. Not really. He's wonderful. I love him. I don't know how to segue out of that because I was mean and I'm not used to being mean. And I feel like it always just comes across as mean when I'm mean.
So Michelle becomes aware that she's here because he ran her over. So she's now planning her first escape attempt. And what she becomes aware of, the only way to get out is with his keys, which he has on him at all times, which is really, so she would have to either, so she couldn't physically attack him because A, he's huge, and B, he's walking around armed all day. So the sheer risk of being able to fight him off while possibly still injured, really not in her way. So she works like this sort of strange plot to cause drama at the dinner table.
She really does. And not only that, at this point, she has also had some side conversations with Emmett. And she's been like, dude, Howard is fake. Like, he's like lying about all of this. We can just leave. Like, let's just leave.
I mean, how do we get out of here?
But Emmett says, no, I saw the attack. I really did see the attack. Michelle is the exact opposite of Howard in these sequences because Howard is all about conspiracy theories and Michelle is a non-believer to a fault.
Crazy is building your ark after the flood has already come.
At one point when her and Emmett are talking, Emmett says, I saw a flash.
Bright red. Like an explosion from way far off. It wasn't like fireworks. No, this was more like something you'd read about in the Bible.
And Michelle's like, yeah, you saw lightning.
So what, you saw what, a flash of light? Lightning? A fire that flared up?
She will not acknowledge that it is possible that something bad is happening out in the world. She just wants to get out. She says, I heard a car, which means that there are people out there. There are things that are going to be okay. And like you said, they then have this lovely dinner sequence, which there's a candle on the table. For a doomsday prepper, this guy makes a nice dinner, even though they do have the spaghetti and soda.
Best damn sauce I ever had.
But they have salt and pepper shakers there. It's all the finer things in life on this lovely dinner that the three of them sit down and have.
And not to get political, but if you need to put extra flavor on the food you're having, have something else.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I'm gonna need the pepper also.
There's nothing worse than when I see people putting sauce on shit or salt or vinegar or pepper. It's just like, then you don't like it. You should have ordered something else. It's annoying.
That's not a bad point. And please, watch your language at table.
Well, Howard admits during the sequence that he is not necessarily the best cook, but he does also say that Megan, who we later find out is his daughter, was a great cook. And he says to Michelle in the creepiest way, you'll learn to love cooking. Like, it feels like he's grooming her during this sequence. Also, during this sequence, Emmett tries to kind of take some of the heat off of Michelle, and he's like, he starts complimenting the sauce. He goes like full ham on complimenting how wonderful the sauce is.
You're overacting. You're hamming it up.
But eventually, Emmett's like, well, yeah, of course, this is the best sauce I've ever had in my life because I could be dying up in the real world. So, of course, it's the best sauce. And Howard's like, he's suspicious, but eventually he's like, yeah, that's not a bad point. I am pretty great.
Howard said that to Michelle. She sort of gets creeped out, but then she's starting to get the creepy vibes of thinking, fuck, he's into me sexually. Well, maybe not sexually, but in a weird way. So she then begins to, I guess you could call it flirt with Emmett or something.
Did you ever play that, what was it, Operation?
Loved Operation.
Same, man, I couldn't play that game.
Why
Terrified me. That noise that thing would make when you hit that edge, I mean...
Yes, I think she starts flirting with Emmett specifically to annoy Howard.
Yeah, because earlier in the film, she tripped over and Emmett went to grab her to stop her, and he goes, "Don't touch!"
No touching.
So clearly, Emmett is sort of, you can see it in his face that he's sort of saying to her, like, shut the fuck up, you idiot. He's a mental case. So yeah, this is all her plot to get Howard to get in her face so that she can get the keys to finally escape.
exactly do you think you're doing?
And oh my God, is that so scary to watch also. Howard is truly dominant in this scene. He not only gets in her face, but he is like, he forces her to say that she'll behave, which is like, holy shit, it's so terrifying. And the reveal, she does eventually get the keys. The reveal of how she gets the keys is perfect. You think she doesn't get them. You think she doesn't have time. And then the reveal pans down to under the table and you can just see her holding those keys. And you're like, yeah, she got them. Woo, go Michelle. Girl power. That's what you said, right?
That's what I believe. That's my life motto, yeah.
I believe you.
This is when the sound, again, of this movie comes into play another huge time. We get like that ringing tinnitus sound and you hear a car driving above and Michelle grabs a bottle and smashes Howard over the head with it. And she runs. We know there's no way she's going to make it out. Even if she can jostle all the keys free, there's no way. You're still rooting for her during this entire attempted escape sequence. And she does make it up to the airlock. She gets there. She sees a car with headlights. And then a creepy, creepy woman runs up to the airlock.
It's okay. I want to come inside.
Yes, and this is with the T.J. Miller tie-in called in, because she, of course, was in the show Silicon Valley with T.J. Miller.
Huzzah. Onward.
And she's the yada yada girl from Seinfeld.
That's not the yada yada girl.
Yada yada yada. I'm very tired today.
And yada yada yada. Anyway, I'm really tired today.
I believe you, but I did not recognize her at all, and I did not look her up at all. That's crazy.
Yes, and she is the character that is then in Cloverfield 3. Yeah, where she's interviewing somebody. Yes. I need to rewatch this. I might actually watch it later on. So she then appears in the third film, which brings into the timeline stuff. See, it's hard, right? So the spoilers, everybody. So Cloverfield 3 ends with them arriving to Earth. Well, the creature is now fully formed, enormous size. But obviously we don't know what timeline that was. But in Cloverfield 3, she's interviewing somebody about aliens or whatever, which means that it happens before the Cloverfield attack. So it really makes you wonder what the fuck, how or if the timelines match up at all.
I think that this character of this woman is perhaps, I think that the scene is perhaps one of the best scenes in the movie, because what ends up happening is that Michelle locks herself in an airlock. And so she can see out into the real world, and this woman is trying and begging to get in. And on the other side of the airlock is Howard telling her, don't let this woman in. We're going to die if you let this woman in.
Do not let her in!
And she is literally caught now in between her captor and a crazy lady. And she has nowhere to go. And that's the first time that I really started to feel so isolated in this film, which this movie does a great job of making you feel isolated. It's amazing. The woman starts bashing her head on the glass trying to get in. That's how insane she is. And Michelle ends up deciding to go back into the bunker.
Like, it is crazy. Like, it is one of those super intense scenes where she sort of realizes, no, we're stuck. Like, this is it.
These are my two options. My two options are to go out into the real world where clearly something horrible is happening, or to go back with this guy who maybe is trying to help me, but also maybe is trying to SA me and groom me and turn me into, I don't know, a person to repopulate the planet with. That's kind of the vibes that you get from him, I guess. Is you kind of feel like he's like, I'm going to use this girl to repopulate the whole world right now.
Yeah, and even just for a fun Friday. A fun Friday fart box is what I like to call it. Yeah. But because I think it was in the previous scene or previous scenes where Emmett mentioned that they're probably going to be down there for at least a year.
Yes.
And it's like... Ooh.
Enough time to have one baby.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Just one. They probably could have used 2 girls and 1 guy down there. That might have been smarter. But I guess we never really do find out Howard's exact motives for having these 2 people.
the woman that tried to break in to the bunker that was in the show with TJ Miller was also in a show called Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
I remember that show.
So she's in everything.
For every 3 times you insult me, I will only retort to 1.
How do the makeup must have really thrown me off because I did not recognize her at all.
Oh, I think she was probably enjoying the Hollywood lifestyle.
Yeah, of course.
Also starring Ryan Reynolds.
This is the point in the movie where things become a little bit more tender between Howard and Michelle. Howard gives Michelle a t-shirt to wear. He gives her Megan's clothes, so his daughter's clothes. He has her shower. He offers her vodka. And he also asks her to stitch up the wounds that she created on him by smashing him over the head with a bottle. He freeze dries at one point the vodka to make it on the rocks, quote unquote, because they don't have ice. They have everything else in this bunker except for ice. It's truly incredible.
Yeah, and this is when they're starting to there's literally a part where John Goodman twerk dances with his arse cheeks. They're playing, they're watching old films. They're playing board games. It seems like, hey, we're actually we're going to figure out a way to get through this.
I love this montage. They're doing puzzles, they're cleaning, they're eating, they're having fun, and it's all to the tune of I Think We're Alone Now. And this was also heavily used in the trailer of this film. I mentioned the trailer a little bit, but I want to talk about it a little bit more because I'm actually not a huge fan of trailers in general. I don't generally like to see trailers. I generally try to forget them before I watch the movie because I really like to go into stuff blind. This is the best trailer that has ever existed. Do you remember this trailer?
I do not.
Oh my God. Go watch it as soon as we are done talking. It is the perfect trailer. I lost my shit when I saw it. I was like, this looks like the most exciting and interesting film that has ever existed. And when I first saw 10 Cloverfield Lane in the theater, after seeing the trailer, I was like, the trailer was better than the movie. I wasn't at all trying to shit on the movie. I wasn't saying that the movie was bad. I was just like, that's how good that trailer was. And so a lot of these sequences during the montage of them having fun are used in that trailer. I highly, highly, highly recommend watching it. I just rewatched it right before you and I filmed this episode here, and it stands up. That trailer is it is a short film in and of itself. It is a 1 minute and 20 second amazing little piece of joy. They also use I Think We're Alone Now in the trailer, and they slow down the music as things get scarier. Oh, it's so good. I love it so much.
Yeah, and during this montage, we get to see a whole lot more of the bunker where there's a waste unit, which I don't know where that would be going, considering that they're already underground, so I don't know where the waste would be going. But it ends with them noticing that there's a problem with the air filtration system, and I can't remember what Howard said, but he said that if that doesn't get fixed and the thing breaks down, they'll run out of air in days.
Yep. Something is blocking the hatch, and they are fucked.
But this is where a kind of a plot hole sort of formed for me, and it made me think I understand it's a film and stuff has to happen for the sake of the film, but it was just kind of weird that your guy Howard would build this bunker that he was using for spoiler alert everyone, for the whole idea of kidnapping women and using them as we're led to believe just so that they could be his forced daughter or something. We don't know if there's anything else going on, but why would he build a bunker for an air filtration area that he could never get to?
So, you bring up a good point, and I think that there's another possible explanation for this. Something that we did not mention, but is a very important plot detail, is that Howard didn't build the bunker. Howard commissioned the building of the bunker. He's the one who wanted the bunker to be built. Emmett's the one who built the bunker. So the way that Howard and Emmett know each other is that Howard hired Emmett to build the bunker. Now, Emmett could have fit into the air ducts in order to be able to go fix the issue with the air filtration system. Emmett built those ducts in order for him to be able to fit in them. I think that he intentionally built them so that Howard could not fit into them. And as we continue into the next scene, I think that there's some other very interesting stuff going on with Emmett. I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory that I think a lot of people on the internet have started to kind of say is what's really going on in 10 Cloverfield Lane. But in order to get into that, let's kind of set the scene of what happens as Michelle climbs into the air ducts a la John McClane in order to fix this air filtration system. So she's the one who has to go because, again, like we said, Howard is too big to fit in there, and Emmett can't go because his arm is hurt. So she successfully gets up there. She flicks the switch on and then off and then on and then off. And within this room where the air filtration system is held, there is a portal to the outside world. And she climbs the ladder and she sees the blue skies. And she also sees that the word help is scratched and there's some blood marks. And so it seems like maybe somebody has been kept in that room. When she climbs down the ladder, she steps on an earring that is covered in blood. And that earring, we know, belongs to the character of who we've been told is Megan. However, we later find out that the photograph that Michelle has been shown and that Howard has told her is Megan is not actually Megan. It is a girl from Emmett's school that went missing.
Wait, that's not Megan.
What do you mean?
Yeah, her name is Brittany. I remember her. She went to high school with my little sister. She went missing 2 years back.
Which means that at some point, this girl from Emmett's school that went missing was up in that air filtration system room, and Howard can't fit in there. So who killed her? And I would argue it has to be Emmett. Now, my next question is it possible that the entire time Howard actually is a good guy in this movie, and that really Emmett is the one who killed alleged Megan? Perhaps he even killed Howard's real daughter, Megan. Perhaps Emmett has killed two girls. And the reason that Howard keeps saying things like no touching, don't do this, is because he knows that Emmett potentially killed his daughter. And the reason that he has let Emmett in there, and the reason that he is so evil and vile and horrible to Emmett, is because his entire plan is not to abuse Michelle, but rather to destroy Emmett. At one point in the movie, Howard even says, "I know traitors."
I know what a traitor looks like. Understand?
And I think Howard is smart. I think it's possible that Emmett is really the evil one all along. And Michelle is so distracted by the fact that Howard is terrifying. He's just, I mean, we've all met weird people in our lives, right? You know, like we have met the weirdo person who we think is totally evil, but it turns out that they're just a nice person and they're socially awkward. There's about 10,000 of those people within the Dabbleverse. And I'm like, oh, is this person creepy? Or is that just how they are as a human? That's a thing that happens. Is it possible? And I think that you can rewatch this movie and really see that it is a plausible theory that Howard was never evil at all during this film, and it was Emmett all along.
Yeah, well, it did seem like Emmett was hoping to take over the bunker and get rid of Howard somehow.
Yeah.
But I have to say about that air filtration scene, because part of me thought, oh, well, then obviously the way to get in there was for Howard to just go up the stairs and go through the portal or the hatch and climb down the ladder.
True.
But then he would have noticed the hello scraped on the window.
Yeah.
And that whole part of it, it sort of takes you out of the reality of this whole thing, and you're just sort of like, I don't know, like sometimes stuff has to happen for the sake of a story. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that your guy Emmett was because what didn't he then go on to tell a story about how he was literally about to leave town that day?
Yes. He describes, I have been in the same 40-mile radius my entire life, and my regret before we got into this bunker is that I didn't go out and experience the world more. It seems like he wanted to flee right before all of this happened. And murdering people is a pretty good reason to want to flee.
That's not bad, yeah.
It's definitely interesting. However, Michelle continues to trust Emmett throughout this film. So at some point, Emmett and Michelle start having more conversations, and they start to plot their escape together. Now, at this point, for the most part, we still think that Howard is the bad guy, but when you think about the possibility that Emmett is, maybe she doesn't really want to, maybe she shouldn't really want to escape with him. They plot at the jukebox, so they're like standing at the jukebox, and Howard puts on "Tell Him" by the Exciters. I love the music in this movie.
Yeah.
I love that jukebox is a character in and of itself, and I freaking love it. And Michelle gets the idea. She is a fashion designer. She gets the idea that she can use the shower curtain in order to fashion a suit. They can build a makeshift gas mask, and one of them can escape and go get help.
Yeah, but that then is kind of a weird point in that how did one of them expect to escape and keep, and Howard not notice?
I assume... So I do think actually at one point they do say one of us will stay here, we'll chain Howard up and we'll keep him. So one of them was going to have to stay there and detain Howard while the other one ran and got help. Now, the challenge of that is I don't think that they ever actually make a decision about who's going to go run for help and who's going to stay behind with Howard. Neither of them can contain Howard. Howard is going to decimate either of these little two tiny humans.
Yeah.
I don't know which role, which would you rather? Would you rather be the person running for help, or would you rather be the person staying there with Howard?
Well, I would like to watch 16 Candles.
What's this? Are you watching 16 Candles?
Pretty in pink.
So you'd stay with Howard.
Yeah, and also you would really have the excuse, because I think Dice Clay's in that one.
Yeah.
So I think you would really have the excuse to be like, yeah, well, I had to watch it. It was in a fucking bunker. What else am I going to do? I'm not gay.
I don't want to watch 16 Candles, so I guess I would run. I'll run for it. So I guess if you and I ever get into this situation, Hughezy, we have a solution already. I'll be the one who runs. You stay and watch 16 Candles. This is
I like
great.
the way this is going.
We're planning ahead. We're planning ahead. It's wonderful. They do continue playing. So at this point now, Emmett and Michelle are very much, they are like, we have our escape plan. This is what we're going to do, but they need time in order to execute it. So they are still trying to do things. They're kind of trying to relive the montage sequence of all of them doing puzzles and having fun together. And they play this word guessing game. Howard, this is maybe the creepiest part of the movie to me. Emmett is trying to get Howard to guess the book Little Women, and Howard can't come up with the word women. Emmett's like, oh, what is Michelle? A woman, obviously. And Howard is like,
Girl.
She's a child. She's a girl. She's a princess.
It's a girl.
No, she's older, see? So she is a...
little princess?
He cannot come up with the term for an adult female.
Yeah.
And then when it's Howard's turn, he is describing Santa Claus.
I'm always watching. Always.
And he says, I see you. I know everything you're doing. I always see you. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
I know what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
And the two of them are like, oh my God, he knows our plan to escape.
I know what you're up to.
Look, Howard, I don't know what you're getting at.
It is so scary. That is like, you can see the two of them before Michelle figures out that he's describing Santa Claus. The two of them are like, oh my God, the jig is up and we're both about to die. For sure.
But did he actually know something was up at that time? Because it's then revealed that he finds, what was it, like scissors and stuff?
Yes, he finds the tools that they are using in order to create their little makeshift gown and gas mask. And in response to that, he shows off to them a barrel of highly corrosive acid.
Yeah, no ice, but a giant barrel of acid.
Yeah, that barrel of acid was huge. Also, you have to assume that the daughter, Megan, and also possibly this other girl from Emmett's school went in that acid, right? Because where are their bodies? I mean, I know we haven't gone out into the real world, but their bodies are somewhere, right?
Yeah, no, I'm guessing the real Megan exists because they'd mentioned that she'd left to go live with them, unless there never was a daughter, and it was just because it's mentioned that Howard was in the Navy, and not the judge, but you hear a lot of SA stories about soldiers who keep captives on bases and we're not allowed to say anything, but so they become very good at SAing and getting away with it, and then becoming used to that type of behavior. Wolf Creek, for example.
There's a lot of unanswered questions in this movie, and I think that that's great. Like, I like that we can kind of speculate about all of these different things. Regardless, because Howard finds these tools, he's like, what are you guys doing? And Emmett tries to take responsibility for this. So Emmett's being a stand-up guy. He's like, Michelle had no idea what was going on. Emmett is masterful here. He says to Howard, I was trying to be a big man. I was trying to show her how great I was because I want her to respect me in the same way that she respects you, Howard.
I want her to respect me the way that she respects you.
I was like, yeah, buddy, you play right into his ego. I thought that he was going to get out of this, but he does not get out of it because Howard just immediately shoots him right in the head. Yeah. Immediately. Howard does not even think about it. And then Howard comforts Michelle while we as the audience can just hear that again, that tinnitus ringing of the gun sound. Amazing.
Yeah, but the thing from watching that scene was really weird is that, and obviously being a hypocrite because stuff has to happen for the sake of the story. If you're like, hey Howard, can I borrow these scissors? I need to trim my beard, trim my hair, while you're actually going in and cutting up scissors. There's ways to have a built-in excuse. I don't know. I just thought that Emmett's explanation was weird. Like, why would you tell a guy who you know is armed and a bit weird that your entire plan was to overthrow him and ruin this thing that he has going? Like, I thought it was a weird way to set him off while complimenting him. There was actually also a bit earlier in the film that maybe it was just me reading too much into it, where he's showing Michelle, we have one shower and one toilet and they're pretty much the same thing. You get to use it once a day. I mean, he sort of forces her to take a piss, that he actually sort of leans up against the wall and starts smiling as if he really loves piss.
I couldn't tell if it was that he really loved piss or if it was that he says to her, he's like, don't flush the toilet unless you go. I couldn't figure out. That's what was the genius about John Goodman's acting in this film, is I could not figure out if he was super sexually interested in her and wanted to bang her, or if he was just happy that he had saved this girl and he was really proud of himself because he's doing such a good job of helping this poor girl. And now she's doing exactly what she needs to do. She's going to the bathroom because I told her that she should go to the bathroom. I could not tell what his character was thinking at any point in time. That is the genius of him. He's outstanding.
Earlier you mentioned that this was a near perfect film.
Yes.
It was around this point of the film that it sort of went off the deep end for me.
Yes, I will agree with that.
Because there was a rumor, I didn't read up on it, that this was either originally being filmed as a horror film called The Cellar.
Yes.
And so I don't know if that meant that they went back and reshot parts of it to make it a Cloverfield, or it was rewritten. So it was always meant to be a Cloverfield sequel on set. but there's a part where we have now visibly gone into reshoot territory, because we see Michelle post Emmett's death, and her hair has visibly grown a little bit and changed color, and John Goodman is now clean shaven and visibly heavier.
So there are very few reshoots in this movie. This movie was shot almost entirely in order, which is extremely, extremely rare for movies. So what they did was they filmed almost everything entirely in order. There's like one or two sequences that they had to go back and put him in a beard because he had already shaved. But I love the transition of him from being spooky, scary, crazy, I'm a doomsday bunker person, to he shaves his face clean and he shows up with ice cream, and now he's Michelle's best friend. And again, he's kind of infantilizing her. He says, here, have this ice cream. Do you want it in a cone or in a bowl? Megan always liked it in a bowl. He's trying to make her his daughter. He got all nice for her. He got clean shaven. He put on a nice shirt. He's like fancy Howard right now.
Yeah, but see, this is when I have a problem with films, and this happened a lot during the 90s and well, even in the 2000s, where they would have these really unique stories. Like a perfect example, funny enough, is Captain America 2, where they've got this really great storyline and it's super intense and all this like government cover-up, conspiracy theories, and they fight.
Is two Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
And they've got all this really unique stuff happening, and you're thinking, how's this going to end? Like, what the fuck's going to happen? It's like, oh, right, they're just going to fight on top of a burning thing, and that will be it. Which is why, I'm not spoiling anything, but the most recent Marvel film, Thunderbolts, is amazing. And it doesn't end with the big fight scene, and at the time I was like, holy shit, this is like a real well-written film. And so getting the best example, or should I say the worst example of this shit, was the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
Where somebody wrote this film and they're like, yeah, it's a film about Jim Carrey and he's stalking Matthew Broderick via the world of TV installation, and he's stalking him and gets obsessed with him and takes over his life. Oh, and it ends with a fight scene on top of a giant satellite. You go, no, that's a bad idea. That's shit. Come up with something else. And that was one of the problems that I had with this, in that they went to what's not the term convenient, generic, in that they start to have this protracted action chase sequence in a bunker. And I just thought, like, that's lazy. Like, that's the obvious option. Like, if you're not going to do another Cloverfield 2 that people expected, why then do the expected ending of 10 Cloverfield Lane?
I will say I liked how we lead into the end and the final act of this film. I agree with you. It is a little bit obvious to do the chase sequence between Michelle and Howard. And at this point, she is completely terrified of him. She knows she needs to get out. She knows that she needs to use all of the fashion outfits that she's been making in order to escape. I think that the chase sequence, it's at least well done, even if it is a little bit lazy, as you are describing. She ends up spilling the vat of acid. You could have, thrown him into the vat of acid. Instead, she spills the vat of acid and then pushes him into it. So I thought that was unique. The vat of acid being spilled sparks an electrical fire, which again, this is kind of the stereotype of the end of any action or horror movie is, okay, now there's a chase sequence and then there's a fire and then, she has to crawl through the vents again because we've already explored that little area. He's stabbing through the vents, so you see the knife coming through the vents, which is very obvious where somebody is in a vent. He very easily could have stabbed her. So again, it's a little hokey, but I like it. He eventually reaches up and like with his deteriorated hand, and he's still begging her not to go outside. He's like, you can't run from them. You don't know what's out there. And that to me made the chase sequence kind of function well, because despite the fact that she is running away from him, it seems like Howard is still trying to help her, even if he's also stabbing at her.
Exactly, yeah. But this was just sort of, I don't know. See that vent thing, and again, I'm taking it too literal, but so she would have to crawl up the vent and somehow be able to stretch upwards from a very flat surface. Like, she's crawling like this, she's somehow able to go up like that. But then, how do you get back into the vent? Like, would she have to then go backwards?
Face first.
I just get so claustrophobic, and I hate. Oh, fuck that. Ugh.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we've already established, Hughezy, you don't have to go through the vents. You're gonna stay and watch 16 Candles. I'll go through the vents. Problem solved. We don't even have to worry about it.
But just a word of advice to people: if you're going to start buying bunkers to set up for the great race war that Tony Palooza was going to start, have all your equipment in public. We don't need the underwater stuff. We don't need the vent thing or where the giant spiders may live. I want everything right here, and I want my 16 Candles 4K Blu-ray right there. Thank you.
You know what? We'll just set up in your movie studio room, or in your movie room.
No one's invited.
We haven't got shelterinis. We want in yours.
Oh, well, sorry, shelter's kind of full.
Really? Oh.
Okay. All right. Damn it.
I have to say, though, that one of the things, though, during the real pandemic, that's what made me sort of fall back in love with films, because I had or have a giant stash of, Jesus, maybe like 300-400 Blu-rays and stuff. So I would just literally pick and choose at random, like, okay, these 10 will be the films we'll watch over the next week, and then we'll get through that, and then we'll pick another 10. So part of me thought, okay, I could survive this.
Yeah. The pandemic was a huge influence on my love of movies also. It was actually in 2020, I was watching and rewatching a whole bunch of movies. But in 2021, I set the goal for myself that I would watch 365 movies that I had never seen before, because I always was just rewatching the same movies. Like, you have a movie that you love and you're like, I'm going to watch this 25. Fast and the Furious 7. How many times have you seen that, Hughezy? Like 1,000?
Tomorrow will be 1,002, because I'm going to actually watch it 3 times in a row.
It's we all rewatch the same movies. So 2021, because of the pandemic and because we had all that extra time on our hands, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to watch at least one movie a day that I've never seen before. And it was great. I guess in that sense, we kind of want to get stuck in the bunker. At least we want to get stuck in the bunker for the fun puzzle scenes in 10 Cloverfield Lane. Maybe we don't want to get stuck in the bunker for drinking soda with spaghetti.
Although, in hindsight, I'm guessing the reason why they did the soda with the spaghetti was because they needed her to be able to grab a smashable bottle.
Well, I think you're right plot-wise. You're probably right. But in addition to that, I think it's because Howard was trying to show off during that meal. He was saying, look at how much amazing stuff I have in the bunker. We're not just drinking water. We have all of these wonderful, there's Fruit Loops. There's, all of the things, all of the creature comforts that we have in the real world, we have down here in the bunker. Look how great the bunker is.
Although, to be honest, a jukebox would be pretty fucking great. If you had a shitload of Guinness, you'd be like, right, at least today we're going to get hammered, and then we can worry about the toilet issues tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so let's get into the end of this film, because the final act of this movie is completely different than everything else. Michelle puts on her little shower curtain outfit and her, fashioned bottle gas mask, and she runs up, she gets out, as she's getting out, she actually at one point rips her shower curtain gown. And that is also a scary moment. Like, you can see how terrified she is. She's fully convinced that the world is a crazy place right now. She's fully convinced that there has been chemical warfare. So she's like very quickly trying to duct tape it. And then she sees a bird. And she's like, oh, wait a second. If a bird is okay, I'm probably okay. So she pulls the mask off and she starts crying because she realizes that everything Howard has told her is probably fake, until she hears a whole bunch of explosions and sees an alien spacecraft.
This is when We Need an Ending comes in. For me, if I was doing a rewrite, I would have her come out and see the birds and realize she could take her mask off, and she's following the birds and watching it, and then they fly past this grey thing, and she turns around to look at the grey thing and sees that it's the leg of Cloverfield.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
And that's how it should have ended. And they do this action sequence, and fucking, I mean, it's a well done action sequence, but at the same time, it's one of these, this is fucking stupid.
Also, the monsters in this movie are maybe not as spooky as Cloverfield was. They're just little butthole guys, right? They're just little, like, there's like little sphincter things, which is a weird choice.
Have you heard the online theory? Which, well, we kind of covered this in the last review.
Tell me again.
The thing that was chasing her, the arsehole with the foreskin on it.
Yeah.
Was the thing that burst out of Lizzie Chaplin in Cloverfield 1. So when the Donald Duck things impregnated people, something burst out of her stomach and attacked the doctor. And the theory is that that's what these creatures are. But design-wise, it really was a big marble-covered cock.
It's a really weird choice. And not only that, but at one point the spaceship like literally like crop dusts the field. So like, is that just the butthole aliens farting everywhere? Like, it's a really, really, really weird design choice. You know what it reminded me of that I'm just now remembering? Do you remember have you seen Evolution?
Oh yeah.
It's like the same butthole monster as in Evolution.
I think
it's like a toothy butthole. It's like a toothy butthole.
Yeah, Cloverfield 1 was all about not being gay, and Cloverfield 2 is all about farts, eating pasta with fizzy drinks, ice cream. You're only allowed to go to the toilet once a day, so you're holding in a lot of gas. There's explosions because you can't hold it in anymore. You got to run from the crop dust. This whole thing is about shits and farts.
That's so stupid, especially because I actually just talked about on my channel another movie that has Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it. I just talked about Swiss Army Man with the Vern from Cinema Recall. So is Mary Elizabeth Winstead's entire thing just being in movies about farts?
Well, she was also in Death Proof and the Birds of Prey film.
Both of which were just fart movies.
Yeah, absolute farts that followed completely through. Yeah. Yes, and I think she was in one of those Star Wars TV shows as well.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, so this sequence, I would have thought when you get to see the fact that you see Howard's house, and I thought it would have been a nice twist to reveal to see that his family were still in the house and that he had been like sneaking out of the bunker.
Yeah.
So that maybe Howard had become aware, it's not a fucking that he had actually been lying, and that maybe he had tortured the fucking what do you call the animals? The pigs.
Yeah. Mildred and Frank and Mildred.
Yeah, so he had made up a lie that accidentally became true, and he wouldn't have wanted Emmett to give away the fact that he was lying because he's a dirty old man. So I thought stuff like that could have really added to the ending instead of come on.
Come on.
That would have been interesting. I do like, though, that Michelle throws a Molotov cocktail through the alien's puckering sphincter. I thought that was a pretty fun moment for me. You have to admit that you enjoyed that.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like she became a serious warrior. But supposedly it's sort of shown throughout the film that she was going to fight. Because they did sort of mention that there was a scene earlier where she was talking to Emmett where she sort of said that her dad used to be abusive with her as a kid, and they kind of hint that maybe her ex-fiance did something to her, or they had a bad argument, so she was like, fuck this, I'm not going through this. So I get the whole wanting to put up a fight stuff, but I don't know, I just think that there's I love Tom Cruise, and he did this film War of the Worlds that's really, really good until the ending, and you go, oh, for fuck's sake, this could have been a classic.
I partially agree with you about that. I agree that the end of that movie sucks.
Yeah.
I think throughout the entire film, Michelle is shown to be the character of a fighter. She is shown to be literal, resourceful, and a fighter throughout. One of the first introductions that we get to her is, again, her whittling her crutch into a weapon. She wants to fight from the get-go. And so when she does escape and she drives away and she hears the radio telling her that there are survivors still in Houston that need help, but there is safety in Baton Rouge, she chooses to go to Houston in a very, we didn't really need it to be that obvious. There's one road sign that goes this way and one road sign that goes this way, and then she very clearly does the turn. But she's a fighter. She's a fighter, and she is here to continue helping people because she knows how to escape scary situations like Howard and alien buttholes. So I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, see, I just thought that part of it was overly corny.
Yeah.
And that,
I don't disagree with you.
There should have been the thing they could have called back to the first one at the opening scene.
Yeah.
Where she's driving and there's no music, there's no audio, there's no dialogue, and she's just trying to escape and get back home. And that's when she realizes that the creatures are there and the Cloverfield thing. Because I think the fact that they had a spaceship sort of makes you realize, so it is an alien invasion instead of it just being some creature has landed on Earth.
Yeah. It's no longer Godzilla emerging from the ocean. It is now alien spaceships for sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and I definitely agree that the ending could have been different for me. That is probably where I fall off from this being a perfect movie. And I think that you brought something up that this is probably something that I would have preferred. I liked a lot of your suggestions there, but I would have liked it if it had just ended very abruptly after she sees the aliens. One of the things that was such a giant success about this movie for me is that even though I knew that we were in the Cloverfield universe because the movie is called 10 Cloverfield Lane, even though I know the whole movie I am forgetting about space buttholes. I am forgetting about aliens. I am forgetting about Cloverfield monsters. I am forgetting about everything like that because I'm so wrapped up about being in this bunker. I'm so isolated in this bunker. I'm so trapped in this bunker that I am not thinking about any of that. And so I would have loved it if she emerges, she sees the birds, she takes off the gas mask, and you're right, you get that Cloverfield foot and then cut to black. I think that would have been, for me, a perfect ending. However, I think everybody else would have criticized that because they would have gone, what do you mean? We came to see a Cloverfield movie. Why aren't we seeing any of the monsters?
Or what if we do my idea of we include the Hard's house and there could be stuff in there.
Yeah.
She takes on the spaceship creature, and then as she's driving off to go join the war, that's where you sort of see when there's that lightning flash, and instead of seeing another ship, you see the Cloverfield creature starting to walk forward or towards the camera, away from it, or something that makes you realize, oh shit, we were just getting started.
You know what you just reminded me of? Is that at the end of the original Cloverfield, when they're at Coney Island, we get to see the ship in the background when they're sitting on the Ferris wheel. And now that makes even more sense. So you asked the question when we first started talking, how far away are these two locations? They're very far away, but maybe that means that those ships are landing in every town, and that's what we were seeing at the end of the original Cloverfield. And I did not think about that at all until this moment.
Neither did I.
Yeah, that's exactly that is what this. Did they add that in post? Like, did they add that in? Did they plan that 8 years before they made this movie?
They will pretend that they did. There's a famous thing, that scumbag that directed Donnie Darko was being interviewed by Kevin Smith, who's another scumbag. And Kevin Smith was asking him about all these fan theories about Donnie Darko. And he goes, oh yeah, well, we planned that. And that was the plan from the start. It's like, no, you didn't. You're a liar. You're claiming credit for fans' ideas.
One of the most beautiful things about movie watching and sharing the passion that you and I both have and that you guys have watching for things like this is that we get to come up with all these little ideas in our head. And I always like a movie that's a little open-ended up because of that. I like the open-endedness. I think it's exciting because now I get to run wild. I mean, I'm just going to put that sphincter opening here on the... It's going to be beautiful. Oh, double sphincter. Very interesting.
Yeah, Cloverfield 1 ended with T.J. Miller getting his arse eaten by Cloverfield. So this film knows how to have a good time.
It sure does. It sure does. I think that that's one of the most exciting things. And again, one of the ways that we get to have our own little conspiracy theories. You know, the character of Howard, he's so into conspiracy theories. He believes the world is going to end. He believes he needs this bunker. Our conspiracy theory as movie watchers is what happens in these films, is what if Howard's family really was all just alive and well in the house? What if all of these things were happening? And I agree with you. It's shitty when people try to retroactively say, oh yeah, of course I knew what I was doing there. Of course I did.
But this director, what's his name? Dan Trachtenberg?
Trachtenberg, yep.
He does do his next film. It was years and years later, which ironically came out during the pandemic, was Predator 5.
Yeah.
Also known as Prey.
Prey, yeah. Which
is a legitimately good female warrior style alien film. So
yeah,
he clearly, I'm guessing he had an idea for what he wanted to do for a direct follow-up to 10 Cloverfield Lane. He was just then able to bring it into Predator instead, which is what John Goodman probably was in this film.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. Very interesting point. So we've been talking about this, and this is certainly my favorite Cloverfield movie within the universe. I love this movie. I would love to know, Hughezy, what your kind of final thoughts are on the film and what you would rate this movie out of 7 thumbs up.
I think it's one of the most unique sequels ever made. I think at the time, and since it's the only ever smaller scale sequel to a hit film, which is something you never get anymore. All in all, I think it's a great film by itself. I don't know if it's a good sequel, if that makes any sense.
It does, absolutely.
But if I'm rating it out of 7, I've got to go with a very positive 4.5.
I'm surprised it's that low.
Yeah, I think it loses points for like the air plot, the conductor thing plot.
Yeah. The filtration system room.
The filtration, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's definitely logicals, and just the fact that we still haven't got a legitimate Cloverfield 2 bothers me. I think that we deserved a Cloverfield 2.
Yeah. Well, on the plus side, you and I will soon be talking about Cloverfield Paradox, which surely will scratch all of those itches, right? We're going to be so excited. No, look at you, so excited. Oh, it's going to be great. I can already tell how excited you are.
Well, to be honest, I actually am excited to rewatch it because when I first got Netflix, I just had it on my laptop because I was so dumb I didn't know that you could put it on your TV and Fire Sticks and stuff. So I thought, oh, I'm stuck on this. So now I can actually watch it in that home cinema, and hopefully I will enjoy it better, because I remember thinking it was a pile of shit at the time.
I love that. Well, like I have already said, I absolutely love this movie. I would easily give this 7 out of 7 thumbs up, even though I do have issues with it, even though I certainly find flaws in it, even though I would probably change the ending a little bit myself. I think it is masterfully done. I think this is a psychological thriller to end all psychological thrillers, because you never at any point know if the captor is good, evil, or otherwise. I question all of the characters' motives at some point in this film, and I think that that's so exciting. That being said, though, I would also do something that I've never done before, which is break my own 7 thumbs rule. And if I had to rate the trailer for this movie, I would rate it 8 out of 7 thumbs up, because the trailer for this movie is so fucking incredible. I really truly cannot say that enough. I could just watch that again and again and again and again. It's great. So if you haven't seen that again, definitely go watch that. Highly recommend. Hughezy, thank you so much for coming and talking with me about Cloverfield's 10 Cloverfield Lane, and soon Cloverfield Paradox. That's what it's called, right? I don't even remember what it's called. Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah.
At some point, we're going to be talking about that. I would love it if you would tell everybody in the meantime where they can go check out more exciting stuff that you are doing.
Yes, for my YouTube channel is Hughezy Entertainment, which we will find the link down below. Yes. It's mostly a live stream show than a podcast these days. So and it's also so I can interact with you, great people. And don't forget, just spam my comment section just to get the views up, because I deserve it. And also, as you can see down here, or maybe it's here, at the Hughezy on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me and never DM me, but always like my stuff.
Yes. All of those things, absolutely. You've been doing a lot of exciting interviews with people lately. I know you recently had Tom Myers on. I know you recently had Adam Bush on. I remember that I was supposed to be invited on that episode, and then I was not. So everybody bother Hughezy. Everybody go over to Hughezy's channel and leave comments for him explaining how you need to have Kaylee on for important things like that.
Yeah, I was going to send you the link, but I had to go to a children's orphanage to help the sick kids. But yeah, let's talk about you.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, Hughezy, thank you again so much for joining me, and thank you guys all for watching, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.